The Expedition Bigfoot team, consisting of Russell Accord, Dr. Mireya Mayer, Ronnie LeBlanc, and Bryce Johnson, embarked on yet another harrowing mission into the dense, uncharted forests in search of definitive proof of Bigfoot's existence. What began as a routine expedition quickly turned into one of the most unnerving encounters they have ever experienced. As the team pushed deeper into the wilderness, the dense canopy above blotted out even the faintest slivers of moonlight, leaving them to rely on their cutting-edge thermal imaging technology. The air was thick with moisture, carrying the pungent scent of damp earth and something else, something musky, primal, and unsettlingly close. The darkness was absolute, making every step a gamble as they cautiously moved forward. At first, the forest appeared to be teeming with the usual wildlife, a massive bull standing motionless, its form glowing in infrared, and a herd of elk grazing nearby, unaware of the danger lurking beyond the scope of human sight. Their slender forms flickered across the screen, a stark contrast to the deep void of the night. Then, the unexpected happened. A towering figure emerged on the thermal screen, distinct from the animals. Its size alone was startling, but its movements were what sent chills down the team's spines. Unlike a bear's lumbering gait, this figure moved with precision, stalking, calculating, as if hunting. It was a predatory stance, something more intelligent and deliberate than any known animal in the area. "What in the heck is that?" a voice crackled over the comms, barely masking the disbelief. The elk, sensing something was amiss, froze in place. The eerie silence of the forest grew heavier. It was as if every living thing in the vicinity held its breath. And then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the figure vanished into the abyss. "Where'd it go?" "It just disappeared," someone whispered, their voice tinged with unease. The team exchanged nervous glances. If the creature was aware of them, it might already be circling back. They weren't just observers anymore. They had become part of the hunt. The howl that echoed back. The following morning, Bryce sent over a chilling new piece of evidence, a recording of an unearthly howl captured in the same area the night before. The sound was deep, resonant, and unlike anything they had encountered before. It wasn't the call of a wolf, nor the bellow of a bear. It carried an eerie, almost communicative quality that sent shivers down their spines. The team knew from past experiences that playing a similar call had once elicited a response, something unnatural and unidentifiable. If whatever made this sound was still in the area, they needed to find out. Despite their apprehension, they set up high-powered speakers and broadcasted the recorded howl deep into the forest. The sound carried for miles, reverberating through the thick canopy, filling the air with an eerie resonance that made even the most seasoned team members uneasy. Then came the reply. A deep, guttural, and resonant howl echoed back through the trees. It was chilling, unnatural. The kind of sound that made the hair on the back of your neck stand up. It didn't belong to any known animal. It was something else. The response was followed by an unsettling rustling in the distance. It wasn't just one sound, it was multiple. Heavy footfalls. Branches snapping. Something, or several somethings, were moving toward them. The parabolic mic picks up something worse. With nerves on edge, Russell adjusted the parabolic microphone, a device designed to capture even the faintest of sounds from great distances. The team stood in breathless anticipation, ears straining for any sign of movement. Through the static, they heard it, something large, moving with deliberate intent. And it wasn't moving away. The sound was distinct. Slow, measured footsteps, but heavier than any known predator in the region. Then, breathing. Deep, low, guttural breathing. It was close enough that they could hear it through the equipment, close enough that it felt like it was just beyond their line of sight. Then came the growl. A sound so deep and primal it seemed to vibrate through the trees. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't anything they had ever encountered before. The team went silent, straining to hear more. The night air was thick with tension. And then, all at once, the forest went completely silent. The realization, they are not alone. Suddenly, the usual sounds of the night, crickets, distant owls, the rustling of small nocturnal creatures, ceased. It was an unnatural silence, one that sent waves of unease through the group. No sound meant one thing: a predator was near. Exchanging wary glances, the team recognized the reality of their situation. They weren't just tracking a creature. It knew they were there. And it might be watching them even now. The decision to stay or leave loomed over them. Every instinct screamed at them to retreat, but the pursuit of the unknown held them in place. They had never been this close before. Could they risk walking away? A rustle in the underbrush made the decision for them. Something was coming. The dense Oregon forest stood unnaturally silent as darkness enveloped the Expedition Bigfoot team. Dr. Mireya Mayer adjusted her night vision goggles, the green-tinted world revealing nothing but towering pines and thick underbrush. Beside her, Ronnie LeBlanc gripped his thermal imaging camera, its screen casting an eerie glow on his tense face. Somewhere above them on the rocky ridgeline, Russell Accord prepared to unleash an audio experiment that might finally prove the existence of their elusive quarry. "If you're ready to play that call, we're in position," Mireya whispered into her radio, her voice barely audible over the sudden rustle of leaves nearby. "Copy that." "Initiating playback in 60 seconds, Russell responded, his voice crackling with static. The team had done this before, played recorded Sasquatch vocalizations in hopes of eliciting a response. But tonight felt different. The air hung heavy with moisture, carrying the pungent scent of damp earth and something else. Something musky and wild that made the hairs on their necks stand erect. The first broadcast. At precisely 10:23 p.m., the forest erupted with sound. Russell's high-powered speakers projected a deep, guttural howl that seemed to vibrate through the trees themselves. The recording, obtained from a previous expedition, contained what experts believed to be authentic Sasquatch vocalizations. For 30 agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Then the forest came alive. First came the expected responses, a chorus of coyote yips in the distance, the startled flutter of birds taking flight. But then, something else. A low, rumbling growl that didn't match any known wildlife vocalizations echoed from the valley below. "That wasn't on the recording," LeBlanc muttered, his thermal camera sweeping the darkness. The second attempt. Undeterred, Russell initiated a second playback at 10:47 p.m. This time, the response was immediate and chilling. A bone-rattling roar erupted from the trees less than 100 yards to their left, followed by the unmistakable sound of something massive moving through the underbrush. The thermal cameras lit up with a large bipedal heat signature that appeared for just seconds before vanishing. "Did you see that?" Mireya gasped. It was at least 7 feet tall. The hunters become the hunted. What happened next would haunt the team forever. At 11:03 p.m., LeBlanc's radio crackled with Russell's panicked voice. "There's movement on your 6. Multiple contacts." The team spun to see 3 distinct heat signatures moving through the trees behind them, each maintaining perfect silence except for the occasional snapped twig. The creatures, whatever they were flanking them with military precision. "They're hurting us," Mireya realized with dawning horror. The team's defensive formation tightened as strange whistles and knocks began emanating from different directions, creating an unsettling surround sound effect. Close encounters. At 11:17 p.m., the situation escalated dramatically. Something heavy crashed through the brush mere feet from the team, emitting a foul, wet dog odor so strong it made their eyes water. LeBlanc's thermal camera captured a fleeting glimpse of a massive, hairy arm reaching between 2 trees before disappearing. "That was no bear," Russell breathed over the radio. "I saw fingers, actual fingers." For the next 45 minutes, the team documented increasingly brazen behavior from their unseen observers. 11:28 p.m., rocks landing with precision just feet from their position. 11:35 p.m., distinct bipedal footsteps circling their perimeter. 11:47 p.m., an eerie, high-pitched wail that seemed to come from above them in the trees. The aftermath. When the team finally retreated at 12:15 a.m., they carried with them audio recordings that would later stun acoustic experts and thermal footage showing multiple large, unidentified creatures moving through the forest with uncanny stealth. But perhaps most chilling was what they didn't capture, the overwhelming sense of being studied by something far more intelligent than any animal, something that knew exactly how to remain just beyond the reach of their technology while making its presence undeniably known. As Mireya would later recount in her field notes, "We came to study them. That night, I believe they were studying us right back." The Expedition Bigfoot team had entered the forest as researchers. They left as something far more primal, prey that had narrowly escaped the hunting grounds of creatures science refused to acknowledge.